Mr. Duke, Mr. Morris, Mr. George, and Ms. Morrison. We are in the final stages of confirmation for the remaining assemblymen, and we hope this series has helped educate the public on the work of their elected representatives and that it will help them in their future election choices. Good evening again. I am Natoya Johnson Chapman. We are here tonight chatting with Dr. Faith Brebnor, Assemblyman for Bell Garden, Glamorgan, Secretary for the Division of Health, Wellness, Social Protection, and is the Deputy Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly. Good evening, Doc. How are you?
Good evening. It is wonderful being here. I'm a little tired, but apparently that is my new normal. But it's wonderful being here, having this conversation with you.
Thank you so much for joining us. So what we will do tonight, we will review the last 4 years of Dr. Brebnor's term in the Assembly, and we will take questions here from the live audience, as well as for those listening on Tobago Channel 5, as well as Pulse 89.5 FM. All right, so the structure basically will be like this. We'll invite Dr. Brebnor to summarize her performance over the last 4 years, and then we'll have a discussion with her about her tenure, and finally take questions from the public here in studio and from those at home listening. You can submit your questions via WhatsApp, that is on 681-1005, or by calling 681-1005. All right, so we're getting ready for Before the Ballot. All right, so my questions will be about 3 topics: her representative of the people, her secretarial work, as well as her role in good governance of Tobago. Dr. Brebnor, we thank you again for attending and agreeing to take the questions from the people. This series is aimed to helping the people speak directly to their representatives to understand Tobago's progress, and of course, we appreciate your commitment to good governance. Right, so we'll start by giving you 5 minutes to describe your performance over the last 4 years. Please give us a fair and balanced overview of some of your accomplishments and challenges over this time. So, representative of Bell Garden, Glamorgan, right? Let's start with your representation of the people in your district.
Certainly. So, Bell Garden, Glamorgan, and maybe I should start by describing what the district, the breadth of the district. It starts all the way in Goldsboro by the bridge and goes all the way to Kendall Farm School Junction. So it's a wider breadth, even though the name just identifies 2 villages. The tenure thus far has been interesting. And I'll say interesting because if you go back to my history in politics, I started in 2016 and contested the first election in 2017, where I lost by the 5 votes, but became the minority councillor in the Tobago House of Assembly from 2017 all the way to 2021. During that period, I spent quite a bit of time on the ground, interacting with the people on the ground, trying to get a sense of what they truly needed from their representative, even though at that time I was not a representative. So therefore, coming into it in 2021, that entire year of 2021, remember that is when we were in the 6-6 period, we still stood outside of the halls of governance, in terms of the executive and running the Tobago House of Assembly. And for that period, we continued being simply area representatives. From 2021 December though, the balls changed, and that included us having to do several things. In essence, juggling multiple functions. The first being the representative of the people. That includes listening to them critically, and helping them to troubleshoot many of the things that may be simple, little things, but someone really just needs an opportunity to have a conversation with somebody asking, how do I do this? So I'll give an example. Last year, there was a young lady who came into the village and she had taken in some younger ones. So getting them into school. And there was a question, Dr. Faith, help me get these children into school, because it was kind of past the normal period where we enroll in schools. And that included having conversations with the secretary with responsibility for education, having conversations with the principal at the schools that we were looking at, and working out whether there was space, whether there wasn't space, how were we getting these school children their uniforms. That type of stuff is part of what the representation includes. That is a perfect example of me simply walking through with someone the process of doing something, holding their hand, not necessarily me extending any resources per se. A big chunk of representation includes that kind of role, that kind of responsibility. Another area included me at the beginning of the term, recognizing that, for example, we had just got in where there was a shift in the procurement legislation in Trinidad and Tobago. And the OPR was now on the scene. All of the rules that we did not need to follow because they were not there prior to 2021 suddenly became in place. You suddenly had to be registered with the OPR and all of that. So a big chunk of my time included doing quite a number of sessions within the district, telling people, if you want to do business, if you are interested in doing it the correct way, come to these sessions where we actually walk you through the process of registering your business. We walk you through the process of registering with the OPR, because that in and of itself is a headache. Walking through the process of actually having a bank account in the name of the business, because we can no longer legally give you a check in your name, private name, because the OPR now requires these types of things. So having sessions like those, and we had multiple sessions like those, was a big chunk of the human capital development. We also had sessions, for example, in how to write a resume. Something as simple as that we think, everybody knows, but, on the other side of it, when we see resumes that present itself at a division, we recognize people are not quite au courant with exactly what to put on the resume, what to not put on the resume, and so forth. So doing sessions like those were a big chunk of it. And of course, continuing to partner with the community groups, the village councils, the police youth groups, the other youth groups, the football association. They would come frequently. There's a young boy who is a neighbor of mine, and every time he sees me, he reminds me that I promised him a football. So having to simply purchase a football to interact and so forth. So those are the types of things that the village requires. Of course, we have the infrastructural needs, the roads and the drains and so forth. And those take a little bit more effort and a little bit more resources. And because it actually takes a little bit more resources outside of the remit of, for example, what I have direct control over, those things take a little longer, and we have to prioritize and phase them as we go along. But I've recognized that having the conversations with the district, letting Miss So-so-so know that the reason this could not have happened is because of so forth. Having those kinds of honest conversations is what it takes to really represent people. And because of that, I think that I've done a relatively decent job at the representation part of it.
Excellent. How do you keep yourself accessible and visible in the district, particularly during times of economic and emotional stresses for families?
So if you recognize, I actually have my hand, the phone in my hand. The phone is always in my hand. It's another appendage. As a matter of fact, as I was walking in, and as I was sitting here being mic'd, I actually got a message about a WASA leak that was above somebody's home that I already sent to WASA while sitting here. It's one of the reasons when I walked in, I had to apologize because I didn't recognize you because I was busy doing that while coming up the step. So it is ensuring that individuals have that kind of contact. The telephone number that is on this phone has been the telephone number that I've had since at least 2015. And it's the number that has been on every single pamphlet. It's the number that if you go on social media, it is there. It is the number that is there. So people know that they can reach out to me. If I cannot answer the call, I will message and say I can't answer. I try to be at community events continually. And, I was in the podcast that I just launched, I was talking recently about the fact that in many instances, sitting at a funeral, simply trying to grieve with the family or with the community, that is where you get a lot of information, because they come to you and they whisper, remember so, I need so, and you're sitting there and you're trying to be respectful, but still trying to have the conversation with them as you go along. So ensuring that there is an open door policy, ensuring that you can meet me anywhere and stop me and have a conversation is what I've been continually doing. And I think simply being honest about what I can and cannot do is one of the things that I have prided myself with. I'm not promising you something that I don't think I can deliver. And having those kinds of honest conversations is what allows me to keep in contact in times where we don't have economic, overflowing economic resources.
Thank you. Many residents say the cost of living and job security remain major pressures, as we know here in Tobago. Yeah. What local initiatives did you champion that directly supported household resilience?
So, we spoke about the projects that we were talking about before, because in my mind, one of the things we need to do is to ensure that groups of people can flourish outside of the Tobago House of Assembly being the only employer. We recognize that we do hold a large volume of the employment of the workforce right now, but my focus has been on creating businessmen and businesswomen in the community. And when we do that, we are able to build resilience. So there are people who come to me all the time, and I would segue into Secretary with responsibility for health, wellness, and social protection. They come all the time and they ask for employment. And because employment is not, we can't employ everyone, I quickly then segue them and I ask, is there a business that you're interested in? Is there a business that you're doing now that you need additional funding for, you need additional support for? Because we actually have a grant at the Division of Health, Wellness, and Social Protection. It's called the Realization of Economic Achievement. REACH is the acronym, and where we can provide up to $15,000 in goods and services to a young and upcoming business person to help them. So that is something, somebody who is cooking and is doing catering, but they need those chafing pans, or they need to buy a stove, or they need to buy a chiller or something like that, we can provide that support to them. So whenever we have those conversations about employment, for example, I usually say, okay, well, I may not be able to employ you, but this is something else that you can look at. And there is a gateway to this that is almost a surer thing than me employing you. Let's work through that. Let's go through getting the business registered. Let's work through that so that you can provide that kind of support to your family. It's one of those difficult conversations that we continue to have, but we need to keep having them.
Thank you. Can you share examples of how you adjusted policies, priorities after hearing resident feedback in walkabouts, clinics, or even village engagements?
Yeah. So, when I came in and became the Secretary with responsibility for health, wellness, and the social protection component, we recognized that there were quite a number of social protection grants that were available, but the process for doing it or the criteria for getting them was a little difficult. So one of the first things that I did was shift, for example, what we did with the food card policy. Before, you were granted a single food card worth $500 per month for your family. Chatting with people and just interacting and going to the grocery myself, you're realizing that $500 isn't going to get you very far. So one of the first policies we shifted was the volume that you get based on the size of your family. So we changed the entire grant policy to include a ranking. So if you have one person in the family, you get this figure. If you have 2 or 3, you get this figure. If you have 5 or more, you get this figure, because we thought that that would be a better fit. And that came out of us really discussing with people, this really not working. We're thankful for the 500, but the 500 and feeding with 6 children kind of thing. And making those kinds of shifts. We did other similar types of shifts as well with the social protection grants that we provide for exactly that reason.
Thank you. How do you work with community organizations, the churches, youth groups? I know you mentioned the Police Youth Club earlier, and even village councils to coordinate support programs.
So I think being on the ground for all of those years, I actually have a genuine relationship with these entities. So I am a member of the I am a member of the Police Youth Club in Belgarden. I am a member of the Village Council, and this was before getting into politics. So we know that the collaboration is always there. Whenever there are actual activities, they know that they can call me and I will participate with them. In many instances where there are resources that are needed, my answer is, how much you need, what do you need, let me figure it out. In some instances, it comes from my coffers. In other instances, I call other business people in the community and say, the village council doing this, we need so. Can you work with me for us to get it? Even if I have to pay it over time, so that it is provided at the particular event. I also, part of what I do as a health educator is do health workshops continually. So they know that if they need any kind of health, so I do sexual health, preventing diabetes, all of those things, you can call me and that is what brings me the most joy. So I don't mind coming in and doing those lectures for you or helping you find the person, the right person who would provide the kind of support that you need in that regard. So those interactions are always a phone call or a message away, and we work together to figure out what is the resource that's needed, and let's figure out how to get it.
Great. Belgarden and Goodwood, of course, we're still in your area, right? Has a strong creative and cultural identity, right?
Yes.
What steps did you take to preserve, promote, and or strengthen this identity?
Ooh, so you're giving me an opportunity to talk about PAN.
Talk about it.
So we have in my district, and I make no bones about it, two of the best steel bands on the island. East Side, which is a small band, and Metro Stars, which is a single band. I am the kind of representative who is in Panorama there the nights before, and I'll give a joke. Was it last year? Because of where I parked my car and because of where East Side is literally right down the street from where I live. There was a situation where the band needed to practice. And at midnight, the arranger called me, Dr. Faith, we want to bring out back the pants. You could come and move your car, please. And the answer was, yeah, threw on back my clothes, went down, moved the car, and stood there with them and watched them practice, for the couple hours that they were there. And that is a normal thing for me when it comes to helping preserve the culture. I have actually found my way in South for PAN finals because I left whatever I had to do in Tobago and found my way in South because we had to be there. There was a point maybe last year or the year before where I was responsible for getting the goat to South. It didn't work out, but that may have been a good thing because one of the other bands brought on stage this big pot because they were planning to cook our goat as part of the pikong. So it was actually a good thing that we did not get the goat to South that because we ended up, it ended up working out well and we still won that year. So it's all part of the fun. It's all part of us ensuring that the things we are good at, we continue being good at them and working with the community to make that happen.
Excellent. Thank you. Before the ballots, will return with Dr. Brebnor. Stay tuned.
Vodel Supermart and Pharmacy. Almost everything, almost anything, almost anytime, almost every day. We in every season for every reason. Vodel Supermart and Pharmacy. Almost everything you want from a pharmacy. Just ask our pharmacist. Well, almost. We are here to serve all of you all of the time. Vodel Supermart and Pharmacy. 141 Chauvin Road, Buku. Call our pharmacy on 610-7634 or Supermart on 768-0723 and 766-0476. Vordel Supermart and Pharmacy.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
For 10 years, Pulse 89.5 FM has been the beat that moves Tobago. From the latest hits to the voices of the community, we bring the island's rhythm to life. Every day, every hour. Stay locked to Pulse 89.5 FM, the beat of Tobago. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram and stream us worldwide on the TuneIn app.
Welcome back. You're watching Before the Ballot, an Assembly Town Hall, and we are chatting with Dr. Faith Brebnor about her last 4 years in the Tobago House of Assembly. So we're heading into secretarial work in the Tobago House of Assembly. So I want to start off with 2 minutes of you summarizing your secretarial work.
So the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection is far and wide, and let me explain what I mean by that. The health component is quite simple to understand because it is really oversight of what happens at the Tobago Regional Health Authority. The division provides policy direction, and in essence we give to the Tobago House of Assembly a monthly subvention to execute and to implement the health services on behalf of the people of Tobago. The social protection part includes the social network, so the grants and the therapeutic counseling and that kind of thing. The wellness component refers to what we do at public health, which means ensuring that the community is well. So having the public health inspectors, the ones that come out and test, ensure that the food places are healthy, providing healthy food, ensuring that our garbage is collected and so forth. For those listening, you would recognize that this is probably the equivalent of 3 ministries in Trinidad that is really under the jurisdiction of one individual in Tobago. But that is fine. As my mother says, nobody didn't send for me. I came willingly to do the work which we are doing. So in every one of those, we've done quite a bit of work as relates to implementation. For healthcare, we have probably spent the largest volume of resources trying to get the diagnostic tools that we need for the island. So we have the CT scanners, we have autoclaves that are needed. We have things that we've put into the NICU because we needed to ensure that our premature babies are well taken care of. All of those things are part of the investment that we have made into the wellness, into the health part of the community. We spent quite a bit of time restructuring the social protection part of it, because we recognize that the services that were provided were being done in silos within the division. So we took some time to work through bringing all of the parts that worked together, creating units that work closer together, and getting some, I guess, leadership or technical competence to run these units so that they are able to provide better service and they are able to provide more seamless service to the people. So we are now kind of seeing the benefits of that restructuring with the volume of grants that we are able to distribute and the volume of people who are able to come in and get like mediation and therapy and that kind of thing. And the public health part, the wellness part, really has been us trying to, honestly, let us just not all die. And ensuring, for example, that we have our garbage collected and collected in a way that makes sense. We've had a greater white waste collection throughout the year because before my tenure, we used to, in essence, just do it around Christmas time, but we started doing it more frequently. working through ensuring that we have the staff there to do more food safety inspections. So, you know, a lot of people get upset with me, but my health inspectors, they run things. And if they say you need to shut down, you need to shut down. And if they say you need to do this to be better, you need to do that. Don't call me and try to beg. Don't. So, you know, it is doing that kind of stuff and working through with the staff to ensure that they are comfortable to provide the kind of service that they are asked to do, I think has been a big chunk of what I've focused on over the last 4 years or so.
Thank you. And of course, as Secretary for Health, Wellness and Social Protection, you oversaw one of Tobago's largest and most sensitive portfolios, right? What guiding principles shaped your approach?
I believe that a systemic approach is what is required. So all of the parts, all of the players, all of the resources that are needed to make this thing work must be put in. I know that the system is not working as efficiently as it should when I am called to intervene. So a big part of me determining what works is when I no longer get the calls to intervene. When I look at it, I look at it from a holistic view. And let me be honest, at first it was very frustrating when things didn't work. And you know, you are tempted to blame the one part of it that is not, that seems to be the bugbear or seems to be the bottleneck. But I have figured out that each of the parts that needed to be included or needed to come into the system, we need to stop, we need to think about what does it take for that component of it to do what it needs to do. And my job has really been to listen and to really observe, because sometimes what people say is not necessarily what they mean, and to determine what I need to do to get that part to work. So my philosophy has really been one where the system needs to work, and I've been trying to say to the staff that, for example, when I ask you a question, it's not because I'm trying to blame you about something, it's because I really, truly, honestly want to understand what has happened, what did not happen, and what we can do to make it better.
Thank you. The division has long faced structural and inherited challenges. Which foundational weaknesses did you identify earlier on?
So, technical capacity is one that is critical. One of the things that we identified, again, you know, as I spoke about it before, was this new procurement requirement. Because the procurement legislation is now very harsh. And the individuals who are identified, for example, as the procurement officers, the named procurement officer, is the one that, in essence, carries a lot of the burden of how things are done. And therefore, we need to ensure that that process is done in the most solid way, that is done in a way that meets all of the regulations and requirements, because we need to ensure that those individuals who are the ones assigning are protected. And that has been my aim. So we have been working on ensuring that what they do is the best that they can do, so that they understand, for example, what the project is. And when they understand what the project is, they then know what their responsibility is to move the project forward. That was actually one of the areas that I think was most difficult for us, because it was new and because everyone was trying to figure it out and because, you know, nobody wanted to go jail. So that was a big part of it. Another area that we recognize we have challenges with has to do with the fact that everything in the Tobago, or most of the things in the Tobago House of Assembly now, is still paper-based. And because it's still paper-based, we have the issue of files. So if you come to my desk on any given day, there are files yea high that require me to just say approval is granted for whatever it is, my signature and a stamp. And unless that paper moves from my desk with that signature and a stamp, that thing does not happen, that thing does not function. So ensuring that we are able to move those papers and to move it away from paper and being digitized is the other thing that I think we needed to tackle, and we've begun tackling it. but it's taking a little bit more effort than I thought it would have taken. Again, because we have to look at the laws, the legislation, what is actually legal for us to do, remove from paper and so forth. But I think those are the two areas that I think we identified pretty early that we need to work on to ensure that the system is a little bit more efficient.
Thank you. The healthcare system in Tobago is often criticized for performance. Complaints including poor health outcomes of patients, including preventable deaths, rude staff, and broken machines, yes? How do you respond to these views and criticisms after 4 years at the helm?
It is unfortunate, and it is unfortunate, but I understand what is happening. Our bodies are wired to protect us, and because it is wired to protect us, we tend to quickly focus and escalate or multiply the negative information that we are getting. And because of that, you hear the loud screams about the things that are not working. What I've recognized over the last 4 years, though, is that the loud screams seem to be decreasing, and the whispers of better service, I am hearing them a little more. So you would hear, or I would get messages, random messages. We want to congratulate this particular nurse or this particular doctor because we went to the clinic and it was wonderful. We are getting these experiences. Except that, you know, those things don't make wonderful headlines. Those things don't tend to make front page news. So people don't get to see them as much, but I have actually been hearing them. And I have been saying, particularly to the staff within the Tobago Regional Health Authority, you have, in essence, it might be the most difficult job, because what you do every day is literally changing somebody's life or can result in somebody's death. And I try to encourage them all the time, even in the middle of the negative noise that they may be hearing, that I personally see their good work. I am getting the positive results that I would like to see. And for the things that are not working well, again, let's work through systematically. Why isn't this working well? And let's see what we can do to improve it. So that's how we've been treating with that.
Thank you. Tobago has struggled with drug and medical supply stockouts historically, right? What systematic or procurement reforms were attempted to stabilize supply chains?
So this is actually a conversation I was having this morning with the CEO of the TRHA. So maybe I should step back a little bit to explain how we get drugs. There is a national special purpose company that is responsible for, in essence, procuring all of the pharmaceuticals that are used by the regional health authorities in the country. So that is the first call, that is the first tap whenever we need something. That is almost required by law that we go there. When that does not work, and by the way, we've been having quite a number of challenges with that. Just this morning, I got a message from a lady because she has a dental issue, and we're having issues finding the anesthesia that is used for dental care. So when I had the conversation with the CEO this morning, you know, he was saying, Doc, you know, we are at the point now that we've actually started looking for private suppliers of this thing, because the public mechanism for getting it is not working. It has not worked. We've been getting stuck out. So we now have to bite the bullet, use the limited resources that we have to try to find it on the private market. And their procurement mechanism has started working to get that done. So it is one of those things that we are grappling with. I certainly hope that we don't have to do it for much longer, because it means we have to spend more money on things that we should not have to spend the additional resources on. But it is something that we look at, particularly every drug, to see what is needed to figure out how we could find a replacement if that is what is required.
Thank you very much. Retention of medical and nursing staff is difficult across small islands. What strategies were used to retain or attract skilled professionals or personnel?
So we've actually done quite a bit of hiring over the last 3 to 4 years in the TRHA. It's one of the reasons, so tomorrow morning, and let me use this opportunity to invite the public, we will have a special sitting in the House tomorrow where we will talk about the reprioritization of the budget and so forth. So I'm inviting Tobago to come to that tomorrow, Wednesday at 10 a.m., Assembly Legislature. And one of the areas that I will report on is the fact that the Tobago Regional Health Authority has actually been requesting more recurrent funding. So the subvention that we give every month, they're requesting more of it every month now, simply because of the volumes of hires that we've done over the last 2 or so years. How did we do it? We sent it far and wide. We actually worked with the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited, TTAL, to create an ad for medical professionals that we placed in tourism-related sites and so forth. So the aim was to send it out as far and as wide as we could to try to attract as many people as possible. Of course, we use the Caribbean jobs and those things as well. But I think using that tourism angle, I think helped us a bit to identify individuals who were outside of the Trinidad and Tobago space to come in to apply, and then we go through the process. But I think we've been relatively successful with that.
Great, thank you. Community clinics remain the first point of care. What upgrades, extension of hours, or quality improvements were implemented during your tenure?
So let me, I will say at this point, we have tried to keep at the levels that I met. So in terms of the times, in terms of the hours of operation, those have stayed as they were when I came in. What we are doing now, though, is part of the restructuring that is happening at the Tobago Regional Health Authority is actually the restructuring of how primary care functions. So we met with the doctors and nurses and so forth in primary care. And we said to them, how would you like this to work? And we've actually started doing a stratification where there will be senior and junior physicians within the primary healthcare system, in the health centers, so that the level of service you get at the health centers is actually a bit improved, with the aim of preventing you from going to our hospitals. So that is actually something that the TRHA is working through right now, with the aim of implementing, anytime now is when we will start implementing that kind of systematic structure of how our health centers functions.
Great. You have spoken frequently about mental health and trauma resilience. What specific programs reached schools, youths, or families?
So at the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, I will boast about the fact that we have some of the best therapeutic counselors on the island. You may not know about them, and that is probably because they take their job so seriously that people are usually afraid to come to therapy because they're afraid their business can reach the road, kind of thing. We don't have that challenge at the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection because of the caliber of counselors that we have, and they truly understand how important their job is. So we've been hiring more of those individuals. We have been doing more outreach so that the people on the ground know that they are available and it's just a call away. We have been working with the community groups to say to them, these individuals are there. We also have mediators who could help you go through your process. Part of what is required legally is actually coming to our division to get training in parenting and co-parenting. So for example, you may have a challenge with your child where the courts may have had to step in, or the children's authority may have had to step in. Part of helping you to get back into good graces and to working and reintegrating your family includes you coming to us and having those sessions and so forth. Part of the restructuring that I spoke about earlier as well included us reworking how we do, how we provide social support. And that included having our social workers, for example, go back to doing real social working. Because when I came in, I recognized that they were doing a little bit of social work, but they were doing grant processing and some of those other things that did not require the kind of skill that they had. So part of the restructuring includes them going back to doing real social working and ensuring that there are other officers who can do the grant processing and that kind of stuff that's needed. So it is, doing those kinds of things that I think have been able to get our mental health services closer to the communities that need them by providing the information for them and encouraging them to use it.
Excellent. And I would add to that mental health question, because I know that you had the International Men's Day debates today,
Yes.
right? And I know this month as well, we will also celebrate International Men's Day. A lot of men have been crying out regarding mental trauma. Is there anything being directed to men and that supports mentally?
So we have the Blue Room that has been there for a while. This was an incarnation of a previous secretary that we continued because we saw the benefit of it and we saw how important it was. What I've been doing though is via our inclusion and diversity unit, which includes the gender units within the division, we have actually been pushing out trying to get men to understand that the services that are available to them as well. So having those conversations, and as I said yesterday, the sitting was actually yesterday, where those young men did such a fantastic job representing the Tobago House of Assembly. As I said in my wrap-up, talked with them. We as individuals, every single one of us needs to think back at what we do to either protect or continually traumatize men. I am one of those who think that Trinidad and Tobago kind of followed the path internationally in a way that did not make sense for who we were. So for example, you hear internationally programs that are geared towards empowering women and girls. But in those countries where those programs are needed, the status of the girl or the woman was actually very different to the status of the girl or the woman in Trinidad and Tobago. So for us to take those programs and just do them here did not make sense. In fact, what we were doing was elevating women and girls and leaving our boys and men behind. And I think we have to actively determine or actively implement policies that reverse that kind of disproportionate attention that's been placed. So I have said even to my division, don't come to me with any girls and women program. Girls and women, we're fine, we're being taken care of, we are good, we are the ones who are at the health centers and at the hospitals and coming to the clinics and coming to the services. Let us implement or let us work with those groups that are targeting men. And I have actually made a commitment to provide the kind of support to those groups, and they have been coming, and we've been providing the kinds of support to encourage men to participate in these services that are available to them.
Excellent, thank you. So before we head to the break, briefly, I want to include the elderly care and home assistance. How did your division address especially for these home assistants or for aging residents living alone?
Yeah, so that has been one of the areas that has been kind of difficult to treat with. As part of our inclusion and diversity unit, we also have a aging unit that is part of that unit, that connection. And we have had to make some very difficult decisions because we've had to go into some of our homes for the aged and in essence shut some of them down, because when we went in and we did the assessments, they were not meeting basic requirements. When we do that, though, it means that we then have to find external support for the individuals who've been there. So coming out of those experiences very early up, We did, for example, last year, we did a caregivers training program where we asked anyone who was interested in caregiving to come to these sessions that we were running throughout the island, so that you know how to take care of Granny, so that you know how to help. If Granny needs to be moved, you know how to do it appropriately. If Granny has a stroke, and if whatever is needed, that they would do that. Coming out of that program, though, we did an assessment of it. The other thing we did was actually implement a monitoring and evaluation unit and hired monitoring and evaluation officers at the division. And so we actually have people whose job is to see what we're doing to make sure that it is working. Coming out of that and coming out of the M&E report from that, we have then moved that program even further, where we hope to partner, and I will not say the name just yet because we haven't signed the paperwork just yet, where we will partner with one of the agencies that are doing education on the island to ensure that all of our caregivers are actually certified in a particular way. And we will then use that as a requirement, for example, to ensure that the people who are caregivers, the people who are out there doing it, have the requisite training to do what we are asking them to do. So this has been a rolling program. We are trying to work out the funding to provide more support to the elderly, but as you see, it's a balancing act that we need to do. So we are hoping that with this kind of training, for example, we could at least provide that kind of support to those who are doing the caring, so that they can do a better job with the elderly.
Okay, thank you. Remember, you can WhatsApp us at 681-1005 or call and give us your questions. This is Before the Ballot with Dr. Faith Brebnor. We take a short break.
Need furniture and appliances for your home at affordable prices? It's time to visit JG's Furniture and Appliances Limited at their showroom at Smithfield No. 2 in Scarborough. There's more room to shop, more furniture and appliances, more brands to choose from, all at the same affordable price. Get everything you need to furnish your home, like stoves, fridges, washing machines, couches, dining sets. They even have swing chairs, school desks, chase lounges, sports sets, garden benches, day beds, and coffee tables. JG's is perfect for gift ideas for new and established homeowners. A wide variety of furniture and appliances. After 35 years, JG's is still Tobago's top choice for furniture and appliances. Visit their showrooms either at Orange Hill Road or Smithfield No. 2. JG's, make your dream home come true.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tapago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tapago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tapago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tapago's at your service.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Dirty every day. Foreign man says so.
It informs me of what happens in Tobago. I find it to be so informative. Every aspect of Tobago affairs is being discussed there. So I will continue to look at Rise and Shine. That's my thing.
Monday to Friday, 6:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m.
I love Rise and Shine.
Have you visited Tobago Channel 5's Facebook or Instagram pages lately? Well, check them out now for all the interviews and up-to-date news. Remember to like, share and follow for Tobago news and current affairs information at your fingertips.
Welcome back. You're watching Before the Ballot, an Assembly Town Hall, here with Dr. Faith Brebnor about her last 4 years in the Tobago House of Assembly. We're heading into good governance, Doctor. All right. In your view, what does good governance look like in a small island territory like Tobago?
Good governance looks like us identifying the projects or identifying the services that would get the biggest bang for the buck, given that we have such limited resources. It means working with those who the projects affect most to ensure that what we do makes the most sense for them. It also includes, and I'll use this as well, you know, one of the administrators that I had in maybe year 2 or 3 said to me that there are quite a number of things happening in my mind that I need to figure out how to bring the implementers, the staff members, the public servants and so forth, bring them along so that they understand the vision. It also means doing the kind of training and doing the kind of interacting and the kind of consulting where those ideas can be translated and worked out in a way that it doesn't seem like we are doing what those who we are here to serve do not want. And in many instances, they may not even understand that they need what we are suggesting. And it may be a very difficult conversation to have, but it is one that we need to have to ensure that we are actually moving the island in the right direction. And to me, putting all of those parts together is what good governance means to me.
Okay. Tobago politics has seen significant party realignment and internal shifts over the last 4 years. How did you navigate maintaining professional continuity through those changes?
That is such a nice way to ask the bacchanalish question. I appreciate it. I truly appreciate how you asked that question. So let me give kudos to the leader who I have the pleasure of working with. Chief Secretary Farley Chavez Augustine has been a rock. And in the middle of all of the turmoil that has happened on the political partisan sphere of us over the last 4 years, you know, I remember him one morning saying to us, you know, we are going through this thing on the party side, but we cannot allow what is happening to us on the party side to affect how we govern and to affect the Tobago House of Assembly and to affect what we do every day for the people who are there, who placed us there. And I think that kind of leadership is what gave us the strength to get up every day, probably wipe our tears, and then put on your clothes and go and do the government work. Go do the things that the people elected you to do. So I think having that kind of visionary leader who in essence has given us this goal post of making Tobago the greatest little island on the planet, and everything we do must lead us in that direction. That has helped us to settle ourselves, and that has helped us to go over the rough waters. And I think that is what even got us to the point of us creating this new political organization where the anchor is the symbol, because it is in the stormy times that the anchor really needs to hold, and we were able to do that.
Excellent, thank you. You have a reputation for being policy-driven and research-informed. How do you balance technical thinking with the real-time emotional needs of the public?
That is one that has been a challenge. And it is one that honestly has gotten me in trouble, because in my mind things need, you know, it's quite clear why this is the right thing to do, and I don't understand why you're all not getting it, kind of thing. But then I had to step back and realize that everyone did not have the experience that I had. Everyone did not have the training that I had. And everyone did not see the world the same way I saw it. So a part of my responsibility included sharing my vision and communicating it in a way that allows them to see it. The other side, though, is recognizing that there are times where people are simply hungry, and I use that term guardedly, but people are simply hungry and they cannot listen to what you are saying and they cannot hear what you are saying. And therefore the aim at that time needs to be to ensure that they are fed so that they can then listen to the larger picture or the larger policy or the larger research that I am talking about. And it is working with the staff around me to also get them to be calmer, quieter, politer, more customer service driven and so forth, to say to them, you know, no one comes to the hospital because it's not a hotel. When they come to the hospital, it's because they're in pain. They are not going to be kind and polite all the time. And even if they are not kind and polite, that's okay. You need to recognize that they are in pain, they are scared, they probably think they are going to die. So them lashing out at you is not about you personally, but it's about them. And therefore, reframe how you think and reframe how you respond to that kind of harshness that may be coming from them. So it is having those kinds of conversations and us working through the steps to get us to implementing the thing we need to, that I think has been able to work for me thus far. It's still a work in progress. I'm still trying to figure it out sometimes. I still, you know, have those moments, but I think we're getting there.
Thank you. Leadership often involves difficult trade-offs, as you said, right? Can you share a decision where you chose the long-term good over short-term popularity?
The long-term good over short-term popularity. I don't know. Let me think to see if I could give a specific example. What happened to us during the political upheaval was one where we kind of decided to stand firm because it was the right thing to do. Even though at the time, everyone was in topsy-turvy and we were not sure. And honestly, it may have been easier just to stay quiet, to cower, and to stay with the other political organization. But we recognize that that may not have been the best thing for the island long term, and we recognize that we were literally going through a storm to get us through that. But I think the results that we've seen thus far is proof that we made the correct choice and we are weathering the storm, and the seas are actually calming down a little bit. So I think that was one of them where we made a really, really tough decision, and the potential could have been really bad, but God is good.
Thank you. How do you evaluate your record of transparency and accountability to the public?
If I am brutally honest, I think that because we had our head down and were so focused on getting the job done, that we did not communicate as well as we could have about many of the challenges that we were having. And to be honest, I don't think we communicated many of the wins that we made as well, because we were so laser focused on getting the job done. So I think that is an area, because transparency means continual communicating, letting you know the things that you may not have even asked. I think we need to do a little better job at that, because there are some decisions, for example, that if we had taken the time to explain to the public why we had to make the decisions we had to make, the noise that we got in the public space would have probably lessened, because people know. And a problem is when there is no information that is filled with, in some instances, misinformation. So I think that having those conversations, we could have done a better job at that. Not that we didn't do what was required, not that we did not follow the rules and regulations, but we did not communicate it as well as we should have to the population.
What do you believe is the role, or what do you believe is the role of truth-telling in political leadership?
It is a difficult balancing act, because we have to realize every day that sometimes the truth is a difficult thing to hear, and the population that we are working with may not actually be ready to hear the raw truth of what it is. So we have to figure out how to not tell untruths, but how to present the truth in a way that is that the people who we are talking to can hear it, can listen to it, can understand what we are saying, and therefore work with us to make whatever it is better. That is a balancing act that I think we are figuring it out, but it is one that we grapple with all the time.
How should the public evaluate your legacy in this term, in fair and realistic terms?
So, are we looking at like a grading system, maybe?
We could try that.
Oh, why did I suggest that? Now I have to go with it. So if I were to grade myself,
On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being, of course,
the best.
the best.
I would, because I acknowledge our communication challenges, I think I would say maybe a 9. There are little things that are, like thorns that are annoying, that I think given time and given an understanding of how we are to work and how the systems work, we will deal with them. But I think that given all of the upheaval that we've been through, given all of what I call, it's a term that I've been using since the budget, tie-up money, meaning we've had so much opposition to some of the simple things that we were trying to do from what seemed like state agencies. Given all that we've come up against, the fact that we've been able to accomplish the things we have accomplished is, I think, needs to be commended. And I actually encourage my colleagues who sometimes, we all have those reflective times and we come down kind of hard on ourselves. I have to remind them, all you remember, police was running in my house. We experienced that, and in the middle of that, we were still able to do all of these things. So let's not be so harsh on ourselves. Considering what we came up against, I think we did a decent job. So I would say a 9 out of 10, knowing that there are a couple things that we need to improve on. But I think given the opposition that we've come up against, we did a decent job.
Okay, thank you. What is the most important governance lesson you would pass on to the next generation of leaders?
Work with conviction. Work with conviction. The easiest thing may not necessarily be the best thing, and the easiest thing to implement may not give you the best result in the long run. So don't necessarily do the thing that is the quickest and is the easiest and that you think will get you over the hump. Think about what is best for the population that employed you by electing you, and go with that. Work through the systems to get it done, but don't just go for the quick and easy things, because that in the long run may not be what is best.
Excellent. Thank you so much. When we come back, we are going to get some questions for you from our viewers via Pulse 89.5 Tobago Channel 5, and of course those questions that you WhatsApp us. For those of you that are still interested in sending in your questions, you can do so via 681-1005, or you can call in your questions, of course, 681-1005. All right, we take a break. Before the ballots, we'll be back.
Vodel Supermart and Pharmacy. Almost everything, almost anything, almost anytime, almost every day. We in every season for every reason. Vodel Supermart and Pharmacy. Almost everything you want from a pharmacy. Just ask our pharmacist. Well, almost. We are here to serve all of you all of the time. Vodel Supermart and Pharmacy. 141 Chauvin Road, Buku. Call our pharmacy on 610-7634 or our supermart on 768-0723 and 766-0476. Vodel Supermart and Pharmacy.
Escape to elegance at Le Chateau Suites Tobago. Gated privacy, breathtaking villas, unforgettable memories, where Caribbean dreams become reality.
Rise and shine in the morning is just part of my day.
From 6:30 to 8:30 every day. Foreign man says so.
It informs me of what happens in Tobago. I find it to be so informative. Every aspect of Tobago affairs is being discussed there. So I will continue to look at Rise and Shine. That's my thing.
Monday to Friday, 6:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m.
I love Rise and Shine.
Have you visited Tobago Channel 5's Facebook or Instagram pages lately? Well, check them out now for all the interviews and up-to-date news. Remember to like, share and follow for Tobago news and current affairs information at your fingertips.
Welcome back to Before the Ballot with Dr. Faith Brebnor here, live at Tobago Channel 5, brought to you by the Tobago CivilNET and Tobago Channel 5. I'm Latoya Johnson-Chapman. If you're now joining us, we have been having a very healthy conversation and discussion with Dr. Brebnor, Assemblyman for Bell Garden, Glamorgan, as well as she's the Secretary for Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, as well as the Deputy Chief Secretary. All right, so remember guys, you can WhatsApp us at 681-1005. You can also call in your questions. We're gonna head into that first question right now. Doc, are you ready?
I am.
Let's go. All right, so you suggested that the performance of the Tobago Regional Health Authority has improved, saying that you heard good compliments. But what are the public data that you can share proving that the health system is performing better, like a number of details per patient or total time for treatment? Where can the public find this data? So that's the first question. Thank you so much, viewers.
So I cannot give that data right this second because one of the things that we have been working on is actually putting the system in place to collect that kind of data. So coincidentally, I had a conversation with the managers of both the Scarborough and the Roxborough hospitals last week, I think, where they had started putting in place mechanisms to actually measure the time a patient comes to accident and emergency, the time at which they are first seen, the time where the doctor actually intervenes, and so forth, so that we can provide that kind of data to the public. So at this point, it is difficult to say that you can go to a particular website or anything like that to do it because it is just not available, but we are very conscious of it, and we've started putting the systems in place to actually measure so that we can report it when we are able to shortly.
Excellent, thank you. And we have a caller, so we have a call-in question. Good evening and welcome.
Yeah, good night. Good night, Dr. Faith. Nice to see you. Just saying quickly that excellent job by the present Executive Council and the way they handle things based on the kind of budgets and so on that you all had and the kind of central government we had in the past is steadying the ship, and you all did a very good job.
Thank you so much. What is the question?
I am concerned about the garbage situation on the island going forward. I believe a better job can be done in terms of where the garbage are put in the villages. I think we need the department or the division to do a more tighten up more on the garbage situation in terms of where garbage is placed in the villages and where the trucks coming around, not coming around many times on time, and the dogs are doing a really terrible job in the villages every night about the garbage. So we need to look at that. I'm also concerned about some of the THE workers. I don't think they're giving value for money, some of them. I'm not believing any of the assembly members, but the foremen and the supervisors need to do a much better job with the workers in terms of how some of the streets and the drains, the slipper drains and so on is being cleaned with the amount of slush growing grass and not being cleaned effectively. That's one of my concerns in terms of our working ethics on the island from the workers' standpoint.
Thank you so much, caller.
But other than that, governance of the island has been excellent in the last 4 years, and we look forward to another 4 years with the TPP in office.
Thank you so much, caller. Have a good evening.
Thank you. And two very important points. One of the things that I stress on, and I'll start with the last one first, is truly the productivity that happens, and it has been an issue that we are trying to work through, actually getting employees to do the job that you've hired them to do. Again, I go back to the systemic approach and trying to figure out what is preventing a foreman, for example, from being able to say to a member of staff, this is what you need to do, this is how you need to improve it, but it's something that we are working through. The question about garbage is one that's critical because it is one that I think I need to spend a little time clearing up. Currently, the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection actually pays garbage trucks to come and pick up your garbage in front of your house. So the communal receptacles is actually one of the things that we have been moving away from, because we recognize that when the communal receptacles, meaning the community bins, are there, if it is not directly in front of somebody's house, then everybody, even from the villages who are not where the bin is, come, they just throw their garbage into it, and then it becomes an eyesore. When the garbage trucks come, they pick up the garbage, but they are not responsible for cleaning the bins and so forth. So then that becomes a problem. What we actually pay them to do is to pick up garbage from in front of every house. So what we are asking the public to do is to ensure that your garbage receptacles are actually wholesome, proper bins. So if you are just putting out your garbage in a garbage bag that the dogs can get to, we are asking you to, invest in a proper bin so that when the garbage truck comes, the garbage truck can now pick up your bin, empty it, and the area stays clean. We are working through some of the areas where it is difficult for the garbage truck to get to. We have also been encouraging, and I say encouraging, there are areas where community groups have actually come together to create bins themselves, communal bins, and they actually put tiles on them and nice doors and that kind of stuff. And we have no challenge with that, as long as the group also takes responsibility for ensuring that around it stays clean, because that's usually where the problem comes in, that nobody thinks it is their responsibility, and therefore it now becomes a health hazard. So we're encouraging people, keep your garbage right in front of your house, get a proper bin so that the garbage truck comes, picks it up, and then you can remove your bin and keep the area right in front of you clean, because there's a level of personal responsibility that we definitely need to get back to when it comes to keeping our areas clean.
Excellent, thank you. We have another question. The Prime Minister presented the revitalization plan for Trinidad and Tobago but excluded Tobago. When will we see the Tobago Revitalization Plan, and what will it include?
That's a very, very good question. And the fact that what was presented in Port of Spain, I think it was earlier this week or maybe last week, did not include Tobago is actually testament to the concept of the government of Trinidad and Tobago finally respecting the Tobago House of Assembly. During our first year in governance, one of the biggest plans we had was the Scarborough revamping. You know, Secretary Trevor James spent quite a lot of time having consultants come in and so forth, in essence, building out this new city of Scarborough. When we sent that information to the previous government of Trinidad and Tobago, well, we don't even know what they did with it because it didn't go anywhere. What the current government has basically said to us is, we are going ahead with doing Trinidad, but we will work with you to ensure that what you as the government of Tobago sees as the plans for Tobago will be implemented. And that includes the city of Scarborough. That includes the other big plans that we have. So it's not that we have been excluded. We had to come together now, finally, to be able to say this is how we are going to move together collectively.
Excellent, thank you. Do we have another question? Yes, we do. What plans does the THA have for a drug rehabilitation center for Tobago, or in Tobago?
Yeah, so that is actually one of the areas that has been a sore point in the 4 years that we've been here. There was a residential drug rehabilitation center that was up the fort some time ago, and that was actually shut down previous to my incarnation. And as a matter of fact, the building was actually converted into a COVID ICU during the COVID period. One of the things we are hoping to do, and maybe this would be a public call, is to work with an NGO, because we recognize that the model that works best for some of these things is not necessarily the government running everything. So if we can get an NGO, and we are saying this for substance abuse programs, for people who are treating with, domestic violence and that kind of thing. If you have an NGO and you could come to us, we will be willing to partner with you. We will be willing to provide subventions to you, for example, so that you can help run it, and we will work with you to do it. We simply do not think that the best model is having a government run these facilities, so we are opening it up. If please, if you have an NGO, come to us and we will work with you to ensure that we could put together some of these, something like a drug rehab center.
Thank you. We have another question. When will the Roxborough Administration Complex be repaired and put into full use?
So the Roxborough Administrative Complex is actually being used right now. I am not sure what spaces are still empty. If the repairing speaks to the outside of it, I mean, if you're from the area, you would recognize that the outer part of it actually has a darker color on the outside. And when we came in, we actually thought that it was something that he could have just painted and gotten rid of. But we recognize that it is not something that you can just paint. So I know that the Office of the Chief Sec has been trying to figure out, working through, what is the best way to treat with that, because we could paint it every single year and it will just come back. It needs to actually be treated with some special thing. It is not my area of expertise, so I would not want to proffer how far we are from getting that done, but I do know that it is something that the Chief Secretary and the Office of the Chief Sec has been looking into to figure out what is the best way to treat with it so that it stays well.
Thank you. When will the Tobago House of Assembly do some cleaning up at the Studley Park landfill? This person is saying that it is time that we start a serious recycling in Tobago, especially with the plastics.
So having a complete waste management, restructuring of the waste management system is actually one of the things that I am hoping to complete in the next term of the government. If you remember, this Studley Park landfill has been filled for as long as we could remember. We keep hearing that it was filled. But you know what? In the middle of the oil spill, what a lot of people don't recognize is that in the middle of the oil spill, as filled as the landfill was, the staff up there was able to find space for us to place the oil that we picked up from the shorelines during that oil spill time. What should have happened is that there should have been an external entity responsible for moving the oil from there and getting rid of it somehow. That has not happened. That should have been a responsibility of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. That did not happen. But we are actually hoping, and I do agree with the person who sent in that question, that we do need to spend a little bit of time rethinking how we do waste management generally and having recycling and so forth. But this is also an opportunity, let me plug. It is an opportunity for a private entity to come up with possibly a recycling plant themselves, where they are the ones who collect the plastic or the glass or the paper, and they can actually sell that, because waste actually is a big business now, and we could sell those things to larger companies. So this is an opportunity for somebody to come up with a business plan as well, to probably jump into that to help us again.
Excellent. Thank you. Remember, you guys can send in your questions at 681-1005, or you can call at 681-1005. We have another question. In terms of the giant African snails invasion, right? Is there a current plan to aid or to eradicate them?
So the giant African snails is something that I hear Secretary Charles Panting lamenting about continually. Let me just say, as bad as it is in Tobago, we've actually done a decent job at trying to contain it compared to some areas in Trinidad. The division with responsibility for food production, for food security, and the name is so long, I don't even know why we came up with such a long name for a division. But that division has actually been working through having teams going into the communities where those giant African snails are, and working with the community to actually pick them up and get rid of them. The trick is, the way to get rid of them is very specific, and you have to use tight controls, because if we just kill them, if we just crush them, we are actually causing it to spread. Because once we crush it and the eggs disperse, yeah, that is what we just did. So there is a chemical that the division has been working with people to use, but if you use, I think if you use concentrations of salt and concentrations of Clorox and so forth, if you go to the division's website, their Facebook page, not the website, there are actually formulas and videos showing you how to treat with it, because you have to put them in and you have to let them soak and you have to let them die in a covered space, and then you have to get rid of them. There's a very scientific way to do it. But we have been trying to work with it. We finally, because of the newfound decent relationship with the government of Trinidad and Tobago, I know that the Secretary has been working closer with the Minister to figure out how we could get some of the additional resources that are required to treat with it here. So it's just a matter of time for that to roll out even further.
Thank you so much. We have another question? Yes, we do. So Dr. Brebnor kept programs like the Blue Room because they were good programs, but some massive investment, and the person quoted people and money, has been done in Tobago planning, like the
Comprehensive Economic Development Plan.
Yes, the CEDP and the Tobago Infrastructure Investment Strategy prior to her tenure. But these were not continued. Why isn't... The person is asking if it isn't a waste. Yeah.
So it's a very good question. The Comprehensive Economic Development Plan is actually a policy document that was designed. It was a strategic planning document. There were actually two versions of the CEDP, and by the time we became the executive, the timeline for those plans had actually expired several years before we even became the executive. What we have actually been doing is using a planning framework that allows us to work closer with the staff on the ground to determine what the plan for Tobago for the next 20 and 30 years would be, and we will be implementing that. So if you listen to the Secretary with Responsibility for Finance in her presentation when we did the budget presentation, she hinged quite a bit of what the budget priorities were on this planning framework that we are using. By the way this planning framework was designed, it does not require us to pay a consultant a whole lot of money, as the question insinuated, and then have this external document that no one used, because in essence that is what happened to the CEDP. What this planning framework does is allows the staff to come together to work through where we are and where we see each other, so that what they do every day can fit into the strategic planning framework that the Tobago House of Assembly would use. So it was a waste of money, unfortunately. The things that were outlined in those strategic planning documents are kind of old if we look at the times we are in now. So it would not make sense to try to go back to implement those. But we are actively doing our own planning now that is not costing us the kind of money it did for those to be created, because it's really the members of staff on the ground, working with the people on the ground, that's designing the framework that we are using now going forward for the next 20 years.
Thank you so much. Well, that question brought us closer to the end of Before the Ballot. All right. So, Dr. Faith, would you like to have any closing remarks?
Yes. This is Before the Ballot, so I need to use the opportunity to say
1 minute.
1 minute, oh Lord. To say to the people of Tobago, and I start speaking quickly, that this 4 years has been a good 4 years, and we have done a decent job with the 4 years. And what we are really asking for is an opportunity to continue the work that we have done. My colleagues and I, we are excited with the opportunity, and as we go into this Tobago House of Assembly election, the aim is to continue working with us, continue helping us to build out the mandate so that we could continue the good work that we have started, and we're looking forward to the people of Tobago giving us that opportunity again whenever the election date is announced and whenever we get to that day.
Excellent. Thank you so much for agreeing to be here with us this evening, and of course to be interviewed by public as well.
My pleasure.
Thank you to all the viewers and listeners out there on Pulse 89.5, as well as Tobago Channel 5, as well as on Facebook. This event was organized by Tobago Channel 5 in collaboration with Tobago CivilNET, a non-partisan, non-profit organization focused on Tobago development. All right, you can learn more about CivilNET at www.tobagocivilnet.org. This is how we close off the Before the Ballot with Dr. Faith Brebnor, Assemblyman for Bell Garden and Glamorgan, as well as the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, and Assistant Chief Secretary. I'm Latoya Johnson Chapman, thanking you so much for joining us this evening. Join us next night.